All right, Zach, tell us a bit about your transition from, was it top 30 junior to top 30 senior? From junior
Yeah, so
21?
mate, so I went from June. Yeah, so I was so I finished my junior career like around 35 in England. Like I wasn't a great junior. I was all right. Uh, but I got into junior nationals in the end actually, but I was useless. And and obviously like most people, I saw like once I finished juniors, a lot of the top players my age, they all sort of quit. So it sort of motivated me to try and like be good, knowing that a lot of them had quit as well, and maybe I could jump ahead of them, kind of thing. And then I went to Grantham College, where I spent 2 years or 1.5 years, and then I moved to Peterborough, where I'm now at a full-time academy. So like that sort of happened when I was 18. So like, when I finished juniors, that's when I moved away from home and just trained full time. And that's what I've done basically.
Zach, did you have to qualify for the nationals, or were you just in automatically because of your ranking?
For juniors, or
No, for the seniors.
Senior.
I qualified. Are you talking about this year? Yeah.
This season.
Yeah.
Okay, so those two, those under 21s and seniors, I qualified for under 21s just from the ranking because I was top. Seniors, I went to the qualifiers and it was meant to be top 10 that get in. Yeah. I came 15th, but 5 people pulled out.
Okay.
So I got in. I did get into seniors in the end, but undeservedly, really, because I came 15th in the qualifiers.
But Zach, I think I'm right in saying, in particular in the women's or female side of the game in the nationals, but also in the men's, I think 90% of the entrants were juniors. There was barely anybody that wasn't a junior, especially in the women.
For seniors, are you talking about? Oh, for the women, yeah. For the women, yeah. A lot of them tend to be juniors, don't they? Really.
Well, how many of the people that went for the senior qualifiers? How many of them would have been juniors for the men's? Approximately.
I can think of like your Joe Cope, Tom Rayner, and there's probably like at least 20. I'm guessing at least 20 juniors. I'm guessing.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is there seems to be a lack of people from 18 to like 40, because at 40 there's a quite healthy veteran scene.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying, mate. Yeah.
And there's a good quite a good junior scene in England, but in between juniors and vets, I mean, if you look at
nothing goes on.
If you look at local league, I mean, besides the occasional junior, if you're like in your 30s, or you're probably one of the youngest players in the league, you know. Although I must say, in our Premier Division, we do have quite a lot of young players because there's a lot of coaching going on in our area. But I think that's a bit unusual. So, I mean, you were saying earlier, Zach, that a lot of people quit the game or really seriously cut down. So, and you said that maybe the reason you didn't was because you thought you'd take advantage of the fact that there were less of the top players still playing.
I mean, so when I was sort of like turning up to junior 4-stars back in the day, as maybe at my best as a junior, probably getting to like a quarter final of one or something. But then I'm seeing like all the top players and how serious they are and how good. Like at the time, I thought they were all like incredible. And then a year later, when I'm still just as committed and stuff, and I sort of see when I'm turning up to tournaments, like senior tournaments, I'm sort of noticing like none of them are there, and I noticed that a lot of them have sort of quit and lost interest.
Yeah.
It definitely pushed me to try and get decent.
You actually played more as a senior when you stopped being a junior than you did when you were a junior, is that right?
Oh yeah. When I was a junior, I lived at home in Manchester, and I played like local league twice a week. I trained like with 2 or 3 people, probably once, twice. So I was playing like 3-4 days a week probably, and then tournaments on the weekends. But nothing, no intense training or anything.
No. And now, how much are you training? You're in Peterborough, is that right?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I've not been able to train for a while. But
But you know, before.
But probably like It's usually like 4 hours a day.
4 hours every day. And so are you actually just doing table tennis at the moment, or you're doing, I think you said you were doing some coaching as well?
Yeah, I was doing some coaching before lockdown, and I sort of backed off it a bit towards like nationals and a couple of other big tournaments. But maybe like I was going to like a school, a couple of schools, like at lunchtime, doing lunchtime clubs like in the Peterborough area with other people that were in the academy. And then I was helping out in some sessions, in the group sessions, like when coaches weren't there and stuff.
And so you think maybe you're pursuing a coaching career in table tennis as opposed to playing?
Yeah, definitely like that's what I want to do, sort of, because it's quite,
And
But I definitely want to carry on playing. Definitely want to carry on playing for a few years.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, if you still continue trying to be a bit better player and continue training and playing, because a lot of people, when they decide they want to become a coach, or they decide they haven't got the time to train anymore because they've got other family commitments or whatever, life commitments, then at that point they stop playing. They might continue coaching, they might continue with, or just completely stop table tennis altogether, or maybe they do go into the organization or refereeing or umpiring. A lot of those people just stop playing completely, and that is definitely why I think you see the gaps in, you know, the ranking lists, you know, between the top players, and then there's a kind of a massive gap down because all the people who are kind of realize they can't make it as a professional, they kind of quit. You know,
that's it, really, isn't it? I never like sort of saw. I always wanted to be like, once I moved to Grantham, I definitely wanted to like had my eyes on being a professional, because like who wouldn't when you just moved to a table tennis academy? Like you're gonna think that, but like I never had my aim on like definitely trying to be a professional. My aim was always just trying to get better in England. Like, do you know what I mean? And it still is. It's just like trying to see how good I can get in England, really.
For me, I think it's more you have to love the game. You shouldn't be going, but like, I have to be a professional, and if I'm not a professional, I'm going to quit. Because if you have high expectations, if you don't make it, then it's difficult to then go back and just, you know, accept being a local league player or occasional tournament player. But I think if you don't set your goals overly too high, then you can then accept, you know, that you're not going to be a professional, but you can still be a decent player and you can still win tournaments and, you know, British.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you don't have to be the best player. You don't have to be a pro player.
A lot of people tend to think that like if you can't, younger people who are like maybe good juniors or whatever they are, like if in their mind sometimes it's like if you can't be a pro, then what's the point of playing anyway, because you're never going to get anywhere. But some people might not realise is that you can still have a life and like prioritise table tennis to an extent and like still try and improve and whatever.
So what I find is like when you're a junior, you need to train really hard, and you know, to improve, you've got to train a lot and getting coaching. But once you've kind of put in the hard work and you've got to a decent level, you can pretty much hold that level by playing just once a week or whatever as an adult.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you want to get better and then you've got to play more, but you can roughly hold your level. And a lot of people just kind of I don't think they kind of realize that. They think, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to play as much, so I'm going to get worse.
Yeah.
But
mate, there's at least like 10, 20 people in the top like 40, 50 in England who don't play full time anymore or never even have, but that literally play once a week, but they all stay the same level. Or a lot of them even play. I know a couple that literally don't. They just play tournaments, but they're still like 25 in England. So yeah, you're right in that one. Keep the level.
Good. Right. Anything else anybody wanted to add to Zach before we move on to Dave? Yeah, Dave.
I think what Zach's been, if you love the sport, because when I started at 13, I played all the way through. You know, I just kept playing basically. I got to a good level. I played British Premier League around about 30. So I was actually improving after 19, 20, you know, 25, 30, played for Sheffield Premier League. And then kept improving after that and got the veterans and got to number 5 in the veterans. So I think if you keep playing, Zach, you will improve because
I agree.
The game changes, you know. So when I was at 40, I was playing a modern off-the-bounce game against these veteran players who maybe come back after 20 years out of the game. and they're still playing high, big soft loops, you know. So I'm looping the ball off the bounce and beating these players. I used to go and watch. National League when I was 20, 19, 20, like Steve Turner. Don't you heard of Steve Turner? People like that, you know. And actually beat Steve in a final, which was like, you know, I used to go and watch him. So if you love the sport, just keep playing it, you know. Keep playing it.
Yeah.
Keep involved. Yeah. Keep pushing. Keep advocating the sport.
And there will be times, obviously, there's times for everyone where, like, you don't improve. And a lot of people in those sort of times, like, quit or just pack it in. But, like, when you don't improve, it can be hard mentally, especially if you're training full time. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, so I had that. I started late. I was 15 when I started. And you go around the tournament, you'd see all these top players. You'd be like, whoa, he's so good. You'd be watching them. You'd be trying to get tips from them. And then, you know, they maybe don't play so much. Maybe they continue playing a little bit. Or they have a break and they come back to it. But you keep playing the whole time. And suddenly you play them and you beat them. And it's like, what? Really? I never thought I'd get to that stage. So I'm number 2 in the Irish veterans. But, you know, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have beaten any of these players that are ranked below me now, you know.
Well, I think I seen you about 5 years ago, Rory, and you've improved massively since then, definitely.
Well, before I came to be a vet, when I was like 38, I went to, so about 5 years ago, I went to Scandinavia and other countries to train in training camps, which I hadn't really done ever in my life before.
Yeah.
So I put in a lot of hours in training. So you can still improve your game, even at that kind of an age.
I've got to say, you do train more than anybody on the planet virtually, don't you?
Not anymore. I actually haven't done any training at all in the last couple of years. I think the last time I did was 2 years ago. Because
all work now, is it?
Yeah. Well, basically,
work gets in the way.
Yeah, I did. I kind of improved my level up a couple of notches, and then I found that I put the same level of training in. I think it was 2 years ago now. I went to Denmark and Sweden, put in 120 hours in 4 weeks, and I came back and I didn't really notice much improvement because I think I had kind of got up to where I could have done probably if I'd continued, but it would have been harder and harder.
Yeah, just tiny increments, isn't it? Yeah.
It would have been marginal gains. And I felt, look, I can go back to the training camp in Denmark and actually be a coach and earn some money rather than going back there and training.
Yeah.
And I ended up playing in the evenings anyway. I played with the other coaches and some of the players.
You're getting good practice.
I was still playing every day.
Yeah. I saw videos of you serving. You're serving with your phone and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
It was against Truls Moregard, wasn't it?
Yeah, I played Truls Moregard with my phone.
He's going to be some boy there, definitely.
The thing was, I could play really well as a defensive player with my phone, but he was attacking every ball. He was so good. Like, he won like 11-8 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dave, did you have another question before we go?
Well, just one thing for Zach. Has he ever felt like he burnt out? You know, because loads of kids I come across, they play from 9, 10, 12, they get to 16, 17, and they're actually burnt out of the game. They don't want to see a racket, which is what I was saying about some of these people I played. There's lots of people that just pushed. Sometimes the parents pushed them too much. You know, the kid is good, but they don't actually love the sport. Like Zach saying he likes the sport, you know. Some kids don't like it, but they get pushed because they're good. And then as soon as they start losing, they get to like 18 into men's. Yeah. They're burnt out.
Sometimes
do you feel like that?
No. With me, it's like when I'm like, if I'm not playing well or if I'm just not enjoying it. There's been so many times where I'm just like not enjoying it. But like, I always know in the back of my mind that it is what I want to be doing, kind of thing. Like, I might not enjoy it, but right now, but
everyone.
I do. Yeah, I just love playing, really.
When I went through one of those periods and I decided to change to long pimples, and that kind of rejuvenated my interest in the game. I mean, I never lost interest, but it kind of sparked it a bit more.
You know what? I was just going to say,
interest, mate.
I was just going to say something about that. Like, with anything in life, there's always going to be a time where you don't enjoy what you're doing. There's always going to be a time where it's hard. And like you said, you did something different, and then that kind of like rejuvenated. That's what everyone should do. Whenever I was playing and I was just having a hard time you know, and my game was just not where it wanted to be, I take my cell phone out, go bet some guy who thought he was good at ping pong and beat him with my cell phone. And you know how much confident, you know how good I felt after that? I felt so good. I always introduce different variables to the total whole, right? Which is becoming a better player or something like that. So I think the mistake that people make, and this is why kids burn out, is that when they're at the point where they're just not there and everything is going wrong, coaches and the family, they pushing them harder and harder. And that's totally wrong for a kid. You can't do that. You have to recognize that, okay, this kid is at the point to where this pushing is too much. Then you have to back off. You have to introduce something new. When, like, I've trained all over the world. I've trained with Korea national team. I've trained in Grensau, trained in China, Beijing team. And there's always something other than just table tennis. When I was in Germany, you know, we trained 3 times a day, right? But then one day we played soccer.
Yeah.
I totally left wing, which has nothing to do with ping pong, but we played. And what it does is it just resets your brain. Everyone needs a resetting of their brain so that they don't feel like, oh my God, this is too much, I want to quit. Like I've never felt I wanted to quit this sport. And I think I've taken the most losses in the pro tour of any freaking player ever. And I've never, ever in my life felt that I want to quit. Never. Because I always reset.
Good lad, Wally.
And I've always said, okay, right now this guy's better. What can I do better? And if there's nothing I can do better right now, all right, let me change it up something. Let me think about a different way or a different focus and then come back to it. And then I would come back to it and then my mind would be fresh and I would play better. So I think that's why a lot of kids, I mean, we have it here in America too, you know, especially with the Asian kids. Like these kids are like 9 and 10 and the parents are yelling at them during the match. And I mean, one tournament, I had to like literally grab this father up and say, listen, you need to shut the hell up because I'm about to punch you in the face. Like your kid cannot play like this. And the kid's playing me. And the kid had no chance to begin with. But the father was just every second.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Dave's topic. So Dave was going to tell us a little bit about his coaching career, and then we were going to discuss the World Championships and the European Championships. So Dave, do you want to just give a bit of an introduction to your coaching career?
Yeah. I'm actually owner of Legend Table Tennis at the minute. I've been involved in table tennis since I was 13 for 45 years, which is a long time. Been involved with coaching for about 40 years, on and off. It's it's been a great sort of sport for me. I've sort of loved the sport. You know, I've really enjoyed the sport. 10 years ago, I got made redundant from a sports centre, and I thought, well, what can I do? You know, there was basically no jobs going. I had a bad knee, so I thought, yeah, I'll get back into coaching. So for the last 9-10 years, I've been sort of coaching Legend table tennis, and I'm a bit sort of more on the Wally side of the sort of coaching, if you want for a better word. I've always advocated table tennis from like 13. You know, when I started, I sort of loved the game. I got involved in the sport, loved it all my life. And I've always been trying to promote table tennis in one way or another. So a bit like Wally, you know, I remember doing exhibitions at like 17-year-old, you know, trying to promote the sport around the schools. There's a guy called Ken Muir. I don't know if Tony knows Ken Muir.
Kent.
Yeah. Ken was he came up, he's a Northern Development guy up here, and he got sort of me and a few other players involved, and we've done a tour of sort of schools, you know, coaching around the schools, doing exhibitions, which was incredible. You know, it was like just promoting the sport. And like I say, you know, get into it the last 9 years. And what I wanted to do, I was talking to Rory about this, was sort of go to Spain, basically up and down the costas, and try and sort of promote table tennis and get table tennis going a bit like what Wally's done with Spin. I think there's quite a good opportunity there with the hotels. Obviously, maybe it's a little bit more now with the money coming back in. Obviously, with COVID, it's probably going to die a death again. But I think the last 5-10 years might have been a good idea, you know, sort of get into hotels, promote the sport. Lots of old people there. Old people love playing table tennis, you know, get into it that way.
Now, Dave, you've got a very good junior called Peter Smallcombe. I'm not sure where he's ranked, but he's top 10 in England, isn't he? And how did you kind of get him up to that kind of level? Are there other people his level that he's been training with, or just yourself?
What happened, Rory? He done it slightly a different way. What happened? I seen Peter at the Sunderland Close Championships, and I seen this lad. I thought he looks a good player. This lad, he's only about 12, 11, 12. And I had a word with his mum, and I says, "Oh, look at this! This lad's got a little bit of potential." I'd gone on to the championships, so I don't play, so I was just videoing people and putting it on live on Facebook, getting loads of people around the country just watching the local tournament. Again, just trying to promote the sport. Trying to make it accessible for people, and loads of people logging on from all over the country. And seen Peter and said, "Look, would you fancy coming along to?" It was sponsored by the Premier League for Sport. It was a thing through Sunderland Football Club. And it was
Dave, at that point, did he have a club and a coach already, or what was the situation?
He didn't have a coach. No, what happened was I think he'd been at Bolton Table Tennis Club for about 2-3 months, and obviously they'd seen his potential, so they said, "Look, get into the tournament, go along, just enter the under 12s, under 13s, whatever it was." So he sort of entered that, and that's where we're seeing him. Yeah. And I said, "Yeah, come along to the Premier League for Sport," But that was aimed at 14 to 19-year-olds. But obviously, because it's a funny age, that, Rory. It was, there wasn't many kids come along. So the B said, "Look, if kids come along, get them involved," So Peter come along, got him involved in that, and took it from there.
And did he have other people his own level to train with, or was it mainly you or other adults he was playing with, or?
I think in the group at the time was some decent players. It was like the likes of Dave Byers, Jordan Dove, some good sort of local players who was sort of third division standard at the time. Yeah. But then obviously Jane seen he had a bit of talent and said, "Look, can we do some one-to-ones?" So probably done 2 sessions a week with him, one-to-ones. And the thing was, there's loads of different clubs in the north. You've got Ormsby, you've got Swerve, Hartlepool, Darlington, different clubs. And Peter actually went to Swerve for a while, but he just found it was a little bit too far. And when he started improving, he started meeting like the top players. Yeah. He sort of went through the divisions really quick and got to sort of the Premier League and met the likes of Mark Cotton, other players from the local area, Chris Blake and that. So what he was doing, he started like really training hard with these players. They would give the time up to sort of train him. Yeah. I would coach him 1-to-1 twice a week, and he just had a massive improvement,
Yeah. And was there anything else you wanted to say before we move on to your topic about, the World and European Championships?
Well, like I said, most kids join a club. They join a club, they go to Ormsby, whatever, they get trained off Carroll or Dennis or whatever. But he's done it a different way. Yeah. And he's found a way to do it,
He hasn't had group coaching with people his own kind of level. It's mainly been just one-to-ones plus practicing with better or good players or whatever.
Yeah. And then he obviously got picked for England. England sort of schools picked him. So he got the school squad. He played for them, done really well. And then he got sort of a full England international. So obviously he was training with England. Yeah. And he was obviously playing for the county.
He's got quite a good. He's got a good style of playing. Like he's very attacking, which I write about him. I've seen him play quite a lot in the last year.
So I've done, obviously I'm a full-time coach, and I've done about 20 years of coaching, and what happens is I tend to get players up to top division level, local league, county standard, so like maybe top 50 or top 100 junior level or cadet, whatever, top 25 cadet level, whatever, and then they kind of stop coming to coaching or they drift away. Yeah. I don't get many of them doing one-to-one coaching. They do the group coaching up to whatever age, 15, 16, and then they drift away and they maybe still play the game, but they don't kind of push on to the next level, or some of them just quit. So
I think he just had this inner drive, Rory, to better himself. For instance, there was a lad called Mick Harper, and he got in touch with us, and he'd seen Peter. Peter played for the British Junior League. Yeah. And Mick had seen him, said he likes his attitude, he liked his style, he thought, he's a good lad. And he's sort of got a team in Germany, Stadt Hallendorf. So Mick got in touch with me and said, "Oh, look, would he like to play in Germany?" And unbeknown to me, Peter had actually wrote to some German clubs, and this Stadt Hallendorf had getting back in touch with Peter and said, "Oh, would you like to play?" And then obviously through Mick as well. So through both ways, he actually got into this club. but he was actually looking off his own back to actually find a club abroad, you know. So he's really, really dedicated, you know, really wants to be a pro, like Zach was saying, you know, he really wants to be pro.
I think the passion has to come from the player. It's difficult for the coach. I mean, the coach can probably have an influence, but at the end of the day, the player needs to want it for themselves. And I don't think there's much that the coach can do if they haven't got the passion to make them suddenly, you know. I think some people want to get really good and other people just want to play to a certain level and they're happy enough playing locally, whatever. So,
yeah.
Anyway, tell us, you were saying to me about the World Championships and the European Championships not having any prize money. And to me, I've been playing table tennis 28 years, and and I know quite a lot about table tennis, but that came to me as a surprise. I had no idea that the professionals were not getting paid any money for winning World Championships or European Championships. So can you kind of explain that or
Well, I mean, my point is, what I was going to say, I was going to sort it off. When I was 13, live table tennis was on the telly. I mean, Zach won't understand it, but it was live. It was the BBC, and it was the World Championships from Birmingham. And I was like, go what? Because I'd just starting to get into table tennis, local club, just hitting around with my mates, really. And this come on the telly, and it was the Exorcist music. Tony will remember this. The Exorcist music. And it was like, da, da, da. And I was like, what's this? And then this come on the telly, and it's like all these players and all these people in the National Arena of Birmingham. Zach would love playing in there. And then it was like Sweden against China. And I was like seeing this guy called Stellan Bengtsson. And I was like, who's this guy? He's unbelievable. I want to play like him. All action, you know, dedicated, just loved playing. But he was like, I want to win. And then you had the Yonya and Guo and all these people.
Was that 1977?
This was 77, right?
I was age 1.
You'd probably still watch it. Anyway, there was loads of people my age now, you know, 57, 58, still playing table tennis, isn't it? You know, there's loads of people ranked in the top 100 in England, around about 55, 56. It was a massive... Go on, Troy, yeah?
We all started at the same time.
Yeah, it was a massive boom, wasn't it? On table tennis was a massive boom. It was like, can you imagine getting up every day and the telly's on, you turn the telly on, and it's like Sweden, Japan, or Hungary, China, and you're thinking, this is unbelievable, you know?
The World Championships were also in England in 97 in Manchester, if I'm correct. Is that right?
What was the difference, though, Rory? What was the difference?
I don't know, because I didn't know.
Well, the difference was it was on Sky TV, right? So it was still covered. It was still live.
Yeah.
Right? It was still, I mean, I went to that tournament. It was unbelievable. Walder was just unbelievable. You know, it was live every day, about 4 hours a day. But the viewing figures were maybe 200 people because it was like Sky then wasn't like what Sky is now, like the Premier League and all that stuff. So you maybe had 1,000 people watching a day. Whereas in 77, by the end of the tournament, I had 10 million people watching live the singles final.
So what was the difference? What was the difference?
The difference in 77, it was live on BBC Two.
I see. It was on BBC but to Sky.
Okay. TV. So this is Zach's point before. So if you get it on the telly and get it live, like the darts has gone mental because half the people go to the darts just to get on live TV. So they're like, whoa, I'm on TV.
So why don't they have table tennis on the BBC then? Why is it on Sky only, you know?
Well, it's on Eurosport now, mainly. It's mainly on Eurosport, you know. So a lot of people get Eurosport. So again, like an advocate for table tennis, if I see it on, I'll be straight on Facebook. It's live on Eurosport or it's on Eurosport here, just trying to promote the sport.
Oh, Tony, do you know why they don't have it on the BBC or any idea?
Well, I think it's a question of how much airtime they can use and also how much it costs to send a film crew to wherever the tournament is. And the BBC's worked out that it's not worth doing. But in the last couple of years, the national championships have been streamed, I think, on the red button on BBC. So it is sort of there, but you really need to know that it's there. And this is where we could all do with publicising these things so that, you know, I think a lot of people would watch it if they knew it was there, whereas at the moment, really only going to be the table tennis fraternity, the family of table tennis that's going to watch it, and not anybody else.
Yeah, and
no one's going to know about it if it's on the side, if it's on the red button.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to get the English Open back. I don't know why that's stopped. They ran one, I don't know if it was 10 years ago or something, and I don't know why they haven't run another English Open.
The English Open fell off the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be coming back at some point. Certainly we've got a couple of tournaments, major tournaments, that are going to be run in the UK. We got the Commonwealth in 2022 in Birmingham.
Do you know, Tony, if there's, you know, the new World Table Tennis Tour, is there going to be one in England for that?
I don't know, but I think that we have been bidding for a place on that tour. Whether we actually get it or not, I can't tell you at the moment, but I will ask.
As long as you're bidding on it, or we're bidding on it, then that's obviously a good step in the right direction.
Well, certainly, this is one of my major bugbears about the national championships, in that I'm nowhere near good enough to play in the national championships these days. Do you think that's wrong, though? Do you think it should be an open entry into the national championship? Well, yeah, I do. And I think when I was Zach's age, I played in the national championship, of course, but I also played in the English Open. And that enabled me, and certainly some of our tournaments were open to foreign people coming across. So I've played people like Danish international. I played a Russian international in the English Open. And like Wally was saying earlier, I set myself, it was best of 5 up to 21. And this Russian international's backhand loop was about 3 times quicker than my forehand loop. So I set myself a target of getting double figures in one game against him. And I played absolutely out of my skin. And I got 11, 10, and 11 in 3 games. But I lived off that for the next month. I played so well there. My confidence was sky high. When I got to local league, blimey, this is a doddle. And but we're not able to get that experience now because of the closed nature of the national event. And I have been banging my head against the brick wall whenever it comes up.
The thing is, a lot of people, some of the better players, they only play in the national championships in England. They don't play any other events in England. So if you're not able to qualify for that due to ranking or whatever, you don't get to see these players. You don't get to play against them, especially if you're not an incoming player who maybe isn't in the top whatever number they allow into the nationals.
Certainly when I was entering all the tournaments when I was Zach's age, I played against several top 10 players in the tournaments. And, obviously I got totally slaughtered, but it was such a fantastic experience to be able to play them. Yeah. And this is now denied to us to a major extent, which I think is an incredible shame.
Did you ever play the Thornaby Championships? I played in that, and I played some. If you got through your group, you had a chance of playing some international players. I played Paul Day, Eric Boggin. So Wally will probably know Eric Boggin, an American guy. A couple of Japanese lads, I think, played Chen Xinhua once as well. But obviously you had to get through your group, but you had the chance to play these top players, you know.
Yeah, I once came up to Middlesbrough, and my first round was Graham Sandley when he was ranked 2 in England. And those days, you didn't get a group, you just have one match.
Oh, right, just one game. Oh, dear me.
Great knockout it used to be, didn't it? Dave, can you just tell us why, or the logic behind the fact that there's no money for the World Championships and the European Championships?
For me, Rory, I mean, my next point was going to be I played in the Scottish Open in 1990. I mean, we all went up from Sunderland, Newcastle, hired a van, went up on the drink, nightclub, got in about 2 o'clock in the morning, had a great night. Everybody got up and played the Scottish Open, and we all done well. Dale Aikenhead beat Davy McIlroy, I beat the Scottish number 3, I beat my mate in the semi-final, got the final, and I played a lad called Ian Stokes, don't know if you've heard of him.
Ian Stokes,
Stokesy, I beat him 21-19, 21-19. Better player than me, but I won on the day. I don't know how. Probably because I was still drunk. But anyway, I beat him. And I got 250 quid for winning this tournament, right? 250 quid, Roy, 1990. It's a lot of money. It's probably like $1,000 now, you know? Like nice trophy, big write-up, all that stuff. And I was in the Worlds in 89, the year before, and like Sweden beat China 5-0, and you got 13,000 crowd German crowd going absolutely mental. Obviously, we all paid money to go. You know, we were there, loads of money. Walden in the final, Pearson hammered the Chinese. Again, sell out 13,000. The Germans won. You obviously know the Germans won the doubles. I've been to Wimbledon. I've been to Wembley. I've been football. Mad atmosphere. I've never seen anything like that.
Where does the money go? Entry fees and everything. Where does the money go if it doesn't go to the players?
Well, this is the point. My point was, I've been to loads of worlds since then, right? Ma Long's won, Zhang Zhika's won. I've seen them all win, and I've got more prize money than Zhang Zhika, Waldner, and Ma Long. Now, my point is basically, is that right? You know, I just wanted to open up for discussion.
I don't even know.
Is that right? You know,
is that because it's a historical thing? It never used to be professional sport at some point, and then they just didn't change it? Or?
You talk to people and they say they get paid on the rankings, don't they? So Paul and Liam's playing in Japan and they're obviously making good money. But for me, the World Championships, are the pinnacle of the sport, aren't they? You know, you could say the Olympics, but in the Olympics there's only 2 Chinese, so it's easier to win. If you win the world title, you've got to beat 7 Chinese. What?
The Olympics, you don't get paid for any prize money either.
No, but you're playing for your country there, so that's accepted. But the World Table Tennis Championships, you're playing basically, you know, for your country, for yourself. So you win that title. Obviously, you're going to make loads of money, but there's no prize money.
Yeah, I'm surprised that so many people playing it if they're professional players and they're not getting paid for it. I mean, I suppose it's a kudos thing, but. Well, you're representing your country, aren't you? And you get ranking points. The more ranking points, the more tournaments you go in, the more money you win from tournaments. England will have it written in if you get maybe, you know, number 10 in the world, you get bonus. I don't know how it works basically, but the higher ranking. So if you win the world title, you're going to be number 1 in the world. You're going to get massive sort of endorsements and stuff like that. But for me, it should be the highest prize money for our sport. You know, all these programs, people's on about coaching and TT kids and this, but at this high level, you know, the World Table Tennis Championships, if you win, like Werner Schlager beat all the Chinese to win that, he should be getting £1 million for beating all the Chinese. You know? Yeah. I mean, hopefully they at least get their expenses paid and they don't have to pay anything out of their own pocket.
Oh, of course, yeah. You're playing for your country. I mean, you're representing your country, so everything's paid for.
So they're not
you know, obviously you're training. They'll send you to training camps to China for a couple of weeks before. Okay. Whatever, but to get nothing, it's just. I mean, we were in Dusseldorf, and Dusseldorf was the same thing. There was like 10,000 people in, and the German president come on Wycott and said, you know, I think Johnny Cowan asked him a question, like, why don't the players get prize money? And he said they play for the glory of the sport. And there was a little bit of applause, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But he's probably on a massive wage. This Wycott will not be doing it for the glory of the ITTF. He'll be getting a good wage, won't he? You know,
it's a bit like the Veterans World Championships. There's no prize money for that either. And Barry Meisel, I think, offered, I don't know how many thousand.
That's right, yeah.
Pounds, £50,000 or something for prize money, and he was turned down.
Yeah.
There's no prize money.
Yeah,
He offered what? Sorry.
He offered about £50,000 prize money for the world.
It might have been 100, Rory. I think might have been 100 grand.
What? Yeah. He was just going to hand them 50 grand to give to the
sponsorship. So he would have to advertise or whatever.
Is that the guy who always put? I swear I see him on Facebook like every day.
Yeah.
Is that him?
Every day.
So, like, some pictures and stuff. What is he? Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a funny guy.
Anyway,
what does he do?
No, he was a promoter, actually. I've been to a few of his tournaments in the past. The Masters in 1980, he promoted that. That was £2,000 prize money then. I think Cantor won it.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there unless anybody has any burning comments or questions. It's been a really interesting show. It's been really long. Same as last week. It was also ended up being really long. So I have to thank all the panelists, Dave, Wally, Tony, and Zach, and hope everybody enjoyed the show. So,
cheers, Rory.
Good to see you, champ.
Nice one.
Thanks, Sen.
Yeah, cheers.
Take care.
Take care. Bye now.